Testing. There we go. Okay. Sorry if you fell for the clickbait. Definitely going to wear a shirt. Just wanted to try out if that matters for the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, I'm going to do another live stream of me reading, except this time, as you can see, been lazy as fuck today. Still in bed, more or less. I got up and stuff, but haven't really been productive. So instead of reading the other books that I've been reading, I'm going to try reading this one, which is Make Time, How to Focus on What Matters Every Day. Jake Knapp, whoops, and John Zerats. Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to force myself to read through this. Not even forced, I'm a little bit excited to read through this. And the way they kind of format the book is that they like show different techniques that they've used, and they're really impressive people, for designing their days and being as productive as possible. And sometimes it's nice to like regroup. Like, I know there's a million things that I should probably be doing, but it's been an off week for a lot of reasons, and I haven't done those things. So, I mean, the option is to like continue procrastinating and hating myself for it and like downward spiraling, or trying to break up that negative momentum. So, yeah. Let's read a few pages, and I have a journal, and I'll take notes on the things that I want to do. And if you happen to be watching this also, maybe it'll inspire you to take some tips from these gentlemen and have a more productive week, I hope. There's illustrations in it, but I'll just start here where it says Meet the Time Dorks, so we can all get introduced to them. I've had this book for ages, and I've always just kind of like picked through it, but I've never read it cover to cover. So, yeah, Meet the Time Dorks. We are Jake and Jay-Z. We are not rocket building billionaires like Elon Musk. Oh, isn't today like a special Elon Musk day? It's definitely battery day. I'm not even going to pretend like I don't know that. We are not rocket building billionaires. I think that was ADD right there. We're not rocket building billionaires like Elon Musk, handsome Renaissance men like Tim Ferriss, or genius executives like Sheryl Sandberg. Most time management advice is written by or about superhumans, but you will find no superhumanity in these pages. We're normal, fallible human beings who get stressed out and distracted just like everyone else. What makes our perspective unusual is that we're product designers who spent years in the tech industry helping to build services like Gmail, YouTube, and Google Hangouts. As designers, our job was to turn abstract ideas, like wouldn't it be cool if email sorted itself, into real-life solutions, like Gmail's priority inbox. We had to understand how technology fits into and changes daily life. This experience gives us insight into why infinity pools are so compelling and how to prevent them from taking over. A few years ago, we realized we could apply design to something invisible, how we spent our time. But instead of starting with technology or business opportunity, we started with the most meaningful projects and the most important people in our lives. Each day, we tried to make a little time for our own personal top priority. We questioned the defaults of the busy bandwagon and redesigned our to-do list with calendars. We questioned the defaults of the infinity pools and redesigned how and when we use technology. We don't have limitless power, so every redesign had to be easy to use. We couldn't erase every obligation, so we worked with constraints. We experimented, failed, and succeeded, and over time we learned. In this book, we'll share the principles and tactics we've discovered along with many tales of our human errors and dorky solutions. We thought this one was a good place to start. Doesn't really make sense to me, but whatever. In this book, we'll share the principles and tactics we've discovered along with many tales of our human errors and dorky solutions. We thought this was one good place to start. Maybe I'm an idiot. Okay, so Jake. It was 2012 and my two sons were playing with wood. Actually, let's skip this. That's just talking about how he's not paying attention to his kids because he's too addicted to his phone. And then this is JC's back lesson. And then it says 4 lessons from the Design Sprint Laboratory. Again, I think where this book is maybe confusing, it's like if you're in it for time-saving hacks, you don't necessarily want to take the time to get invested into the author's life. But I do think that they're really impressive people, and they want to make sure you know that they're impressive people, which is why they did it. Okay, so I'm just going to move into the first chapter where it says how make time works. So it says make time is just 4 steps repeated every day. That's the illustration for you if you're interested. The 4 daily steps of make time are inspired by what we learned from design sprints, from our own experiments, and from readers who have tried out the framework and shared the results. Here's a zoomed out view of how each day looks. So it's like a pipeline that says highlight, laser, reflect, and then that's a cycle going in on itself, and then energize is infused into the laser. So the next step is choosing a simple highlight to prioritize in your day. Next, to employ specific tactics to stay laser focused on that highlight. We'll offer a menu of tricks to beat distraction in an always connected world. Throughout the day, you'll build energy so you can stay in control of your time and attention. Finally, you'll reflect on the day with a few simple notes. Let's zoom in for a closer look at these 4 steps. Okay, so I'm going to take notes. Oops, sorry, got distracted. So then, yeah, it just goes on, highlight, laser, energize, reflect, and then make time tactics, pick, test, repeat. So the example is your highlight could be to bulldoze the calendar, the laser might be to block distraction, kryptonite, and energize is caffeinate before you crash. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So moving on to highlight. Lovely inspirational quote. We do not remember days, we remember moments. So if you want to make time for things that matter, the busy bandwagon will tell you the answer is to do more. Get more done, be more efficient, set more goals, and make more plans. If the only way to fit those important moments into your life. We disagree. Doing more doesn't help you create time for what matters. It just makes you feel more frazzled and busy. And when you're busy day after day, time slides by in a blur. This chapter is about stopping the blur, slowing down, and actually experiencing the moments you want to savor and remember, rather than rushing through them just to get to the next to-do item. This idea is pretty simple, but we came about it the hard way by losing weeks and months of our lives to a whirling churn of busyness. Okay, and so now we're getting into choosing your highlight. So highlight tactics, and then it gives us 7 examples. So maybe I'll just start by reading a few of these. So write it down. We know it sounds obvious, but there's a special, almost magical power to writing down your plans. The things you write down are more likely to happen. If you want to make time for your highlight, start by writing it down. Write it down. Excuse me. Make writing down your highlight a simple daily ritual. You can do it anytime, but the evening before bed and the morning work best for most people. Jay-Z likes to think about tomorrow's highlights as he's winding down in the evening. Jake chooses his highlight in the morning, sometimes between eating breakfast and starting work. Where should you record your highlights? You've got plenty of options. There are apps. Check out recommendations at maketimebook.com. That will help remind you to write it down every day. You can put your highlight on your calendar as an all-day event. You can jot it down in a notebook, But if you have to pick one method for writing it down, we'd choose sticky notes. They're easy to get and easy to use, and they don't require batteries or software updates. You can write down your highlight and never look at it again, or you can stick it on your laptop, phone, fridge, or desk as a persistent but gentle reminder of the one big thing that you want to make time for today. Okay, so that's one thing I can do for tomorrow, I guess. Highlight on a Post-it. That would probably give me some sense of focus. Tip number 2, groundhog it or do yesterday again. Not sure what to choose for your highlight? Just like Bill Murray in the movie Groundhog Day, you can do yesterday again. There are lots of great reasons to repeat your highlight. If you didn't get to your highlight, it's probably still important. Repeat for a second chance. If you started your highlight but you didn't finish it, or if your highlight was part of a bigger project, today is the perfect day to make progress or start a personal sprint. And then it says number 7, repeat to build momentum. If you're establishing a new skill or routine, you'll need repetition to cement the behavior. Repeat to create a habit. If yesterday's habit brought you joy or satisfaction, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Repeat to keep the good times rolling. You don't have to reinvent yourself each day. Once you've identified something that's important to you, focusing on it day after day will help it take root in your life. Grow and flourish. Sounds cheesy, but it's true. Okay. Number 3, stack rank your life. If you're feeling stuck choosing a highlight, or if you're feeling a conflict between competing priorities in your life, try this recipe for ranking your big priorities. And it says ingredients, 1 pen, 2 piece of paper. So it says, make a list of the big things that matter in your life. We don't just mean at work. This can include friends or family or parenting. It can include your significant other, or if you're in the market for a significant other, dating. You might list hobbies, soccer, painting alongside work. Your big things can be broad as work or as specific as get promoted or a polo project. Other categories to consider are health, finances, and personal growth. Include only big stuff and try to choose 1 or 2 word titles. This keeps the list high level. Don't prioritize the list yet. Just write it. List 3 to 10 things. Okay, I guess I can do that. So 3 to 10 things. 1 to 2 words. The most pressing, which maybe people can relate to, is to get a job. That's good. Number 2, I'm going to write down move. I've been really fucking lazy. So that. Number 3, I'm going to write down read for now, just because I think I have I know that I have a social media addiction, namely Twitter, but also just like watching YouTube, which is part of the reason that I'm streaming. I think I'm trying to get myself to go from constantly consuming to, at the very least, creating, even though I don't know what I'm creating yet. So like trying to focus on long-term, bigger ideas, finishing an entire book, for example, or reading a lengthier blog post, if that's what I'm going to do, instead of just like sitting on Twitter and TikTok. So whatever, reading is a priority. For number 4, I guess like it's not a bad idea to say family. I think there's like overlap here, but I really want to get my brother to work out with me more, because he's really also in what I assume is a dark place with his own video game addiction. You know, we're all digital and online right now, but I wonder what's going to happen as a result of that. So I think like getting him to also have better habits with me is important. And yeah, so I'm going to do family for that. What were other examples they had? Okay, they have random hobbies. So that's cute. I guess another thing that I really recently picked up is learning how to do lost wax carving. I think that would be really sick. So I want to work through the books and use the supplies that I've already acquired, but also research local jewelry making or just metal smithing workshops that I could possibly attend. That sounds fun. And then, I don't know, crocheting. There's like random crochet projects that I'd like to finish. Okay, so did that part. Now, says number 2, choose the one most important thing. This is easier said than done, but you can do it. Here's some tips. Okay, well, getting a job is the most important because finances are withering. Number 3, choose the second, third, fourth, and fifth most important things. And then it says number 4, rewrite the list in order of priority. So 1 is get a job. I think I kind of wrote it in priority. 2 is to move more. I'll be generous and switch family into third place because I think I can, that matters to me. Number 4 will be to just like read more or dedicate more time to doing that every day. And then 5 and 6 will be lost wax and crochet. Okay. Number 5, draw a circle around number 1. If you want to make progress on your number 1 priority, you'll need to make it your focus whenever possible. Drawing the circle reinforces this prioritization. There's something symbolic about putting your decision in ink. It's lead, but whatever. Use this list to help you choose highlights. Keep the list around to remind yourself of your highlight priorities and to break ties between the 2 activities when you're not sure how to spend your effort. And then there's a really interesting example of Jake's list and how family went from number 1 to number 2 as his deadline for the books approached. Okay. Tactic number 4, batch the little stuff. It can be tough to focus on your highlights when you know there are dozens of non-highlights. Someone's gardening. It can be tough to focus on your highlight when you know there are dozens of non-highlight tasks piling up. We have the same problem. In fact, Jay-Z's highlight today is to finish a draft of his tactic, but at some point this week, he also has to catch up on an email. He got behind while traveling last week and return a few phone calls. Fortunately, we have a solution. Bundle up the small tasks and use batch processing to help to get them all done in one highlight session. In other words, make a batch of small things your big things. For example, one day this week, Jay-Z's highlight will be catch up on email or return phone calls. These small tasks may not sound like a highlight material. No one wishes they could spend time for an email, but there's surprising satisfaction that comes from catching up. And when you catch up all at once, instead of consistently trying to get your inbox or to-do list empty, you supercharge that feeling of satisfaction. Okay, so batch of small stuff, that makes sense. Okay, and then even reading this is exhausting. I think this is depression. Okay, anyways. Number 5, the mighty to-do list. My solution to the to-do list problem is to separate the discussion about what to do from the act of doing it. I call my approach the might-do list. And that's exactly what it sounds like. That's exactly what it sounds like. A list of things you might do. Projects sit on your might-do list until you decide to make them your highlight and schedule them on your calendar. Here's how the pieces fit together. The might-do list turns into the highlight, which gets put on your calendar. You're especially vulnerable to path of least resistance thinking. I don't know if you can see this, but there's like rainbow. Oh, you can't see it on the book. Yeah, it doesn't really show. And the window stuff that I have, and it's really cute. it's making this more pleasant. Okay, so you're especially vulnerable to the path of least resistance, thinking when you don't make a plan, but when you make an important task off your might-do list, make it your daily highlight and put it on your calendar. You'll know you made a thoughtful decision about how to spend your time, and you can pour your energy into the task at hand. A might-do list can help you avoid the to-do list treadmill at the office or on personal projects. In 2012, my wife and I bought our first sailboat together. In 2016, we sold that boat and bought a different one. Each time we were thinking on not just a boat, but a big project. There were literally hundreds of to-dos required to get the boats ready, from the trivial install towel hooks to the intense sterilize the plumbing so that it's safe for drinking water. If we had worked directly from our to-do list, we would have been overwhelmed. Instead, we used a might-do list to help us stay organized and sane and ensure that we were making time for the important tasks rather than frittering away day after day on the easy stuff. Here's how it worked. Before a day of boat work, we'd sit down with our might-do list and talk about everything we could do. We'd use the same 3 highlight criteria: urgency, satisfaction, and joy, and select the work that was important to do today. Then we put it on our calendar using our best guess at the time required. When the specified time rolled around, we'd show up at the boat, tools and coffee in hand, with a plan for the day. This helped us stay intentional and focused and allowed us to finish each day with a deep sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. That sounds like a wonderfully healthy relationship. Jake, I love the idea of Jay-Z's might do framework, but I need something more detailed to help me choose and track the most important highlights. My method is called the burner list. It won't track every detail of every project or help you juggle a million tasks, but that's exactly the point. The burner list is intentionally limited. It forces you to acknowledge that you can't take on every project and task that comes your way. Like time and mental energy, the burner list is limited, and so it forces you to say no when you need to and stay focused on your number one priority. Here's how to make one. Divide a sheet of paper into 2 columns, get out a single blank sheet of paper, and create the columns by drawing a line down the middle. The left-hand column is going to be your front burner, the right-hand column, your back burner. Oh, I see. Put your most important, here you can see too, like so. Put your most important project on the front burner. You're allowed to have only 1 project, activity, or objection on the front burner, not 2, not 3, just 1. In the top left-hand corner, write the name of your most important project and underline it. Then list the to-dos for the top project. This should include any tasks that you can do the next few days to move the project forward. So 1, split the page in half. 2, you have your front burner on the left, so it's your current and top project. And then you have 3, counter space, so reserved for expanding your front burner project. So to-dos for that specific project, I guess. Then you have number 4, the back burner, your second most important project, and number 5, the kitchen sink. Everything else goes there. Leave some counter space, put your second most important project on the back burner. Yeah, okay. Okay, so the might-do list or the burner list. Okay, and then number 7, run a personal sprint. This is the end. And I think after this, I might just read a normal chapter of a normal book. Wherever you begin a project, your brain is like a computer starting up, loading relevant information, rules, and processes into your working memory. This boot up takes time, and you have to redo it if you contain extent. You have to do it to a certain extent every time you pick up the project. This is why in our design sprints, teams work in the same project for 5 days in a row. Information stays in people's working memory from one day to the next, allowing them to go deeper and deeper into the challenge. As a result, we can accomplish exponentially more than we would if these same hours were spread across weeks and months. But this kind of sprint isn't for the teams. You can't run a personal sprint yourself. Whether you're painting the living room, learning to juggle, preparing a report for the new client, you'll do better work and make faster progress if you keep at it for consecutive days. Just choose the same highlight for several days in a row, breaking it up into steps for each day you need to, and keep your mental computer running. And then there's a note that says, I've seen this effect with my writing. The first day for a long break is hard. I may not write much of anything, and I get frustrated and cranky. The second day is still slow, but I feel I'm starting to boot up. By the 3rd day and 4th day, I'm in the zone, and I do whatever I can to keep the momentum. So yeah, I think they're just doing a great job of really putting what we all kind of intuitively know about productivity into a framework, which we all know tech gods love. So it says run a mini sprint. So I'm just going to plan a sprint, I guess, for the rest of the week. So today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I will use Saturday as my 5th, since I'm not fucking working anyway, so the weekend doesn't mean shit. Okay, so I'm gonna try the burner project, the burner list. method because I think that will work better for me personally. Okay. So front, get a job. And what do I need to do in order to get a job? I need to focus my resume again. So redo it. Focused resume. I need to decide, like, research companies I want to apply to. And I probably want to write out some sort of a cover letter. Okay, get a job. Let's see if I can at least take steps towards that highlight this week, which I haven't done for the last 6 months. So back burner and then miscellaneous. Okay. Well, I guess like in this case, because this is such a pressing issue, I don't really have anything to put on the back burner. But I guess like if I'm honest with myself, like I can only do so much every day. So here I'll do things like read and exercise. And whoops. Yeah, okay. Cool. So did that. Now it goes into how to highlight your, or how to schedule your highlight. So actually putting them in the calendar, etc. But I think I'm going to stop recording here. Okay, bye.